Work involves the development and testing of a standalone mobile app for people with depression. And I would like to motivate in the first couple of slides why this work is important, and then how we approach to solve this. And lastly, the results from our interviews with patients who use this app. So first, depression. It is the leading cause worldwide of disease burden, both on a societal level with loss of work days, but also on a more personal level, where you start to cancel your appointment with friends, simply lose the energy for trivial tasks such as cooking. The thing is that actually 1 out of 5 will experience a depressive episode, which make this disorder most likely to have influenced all of us, either directly or indirectly. So these patients are mostly treated with medicine. It is easily acquired, but it's associated with severe side effects. And alternatively, or in combination, you can be enrolled in psychotherapy with a therapist. There's no side effects with that, but and it's proven just as effective a medicine, but it requires trained clinical staff, and it's very time consuming. It has a high cost for the clinic, but more severely, it has low accessibility, particularly in rural areas. And I've underlined accessibility here because in our current situation with the corona outbreak, which makes actually one-to-one meetings with the staff even more difficult. One particular subtype of therapy called behavioral activation has proven very effective. It is in behavioral activation, the patient together with the therapist, they plan and schedule concrete doable activities that will drive the patient towards more, back to life with positive role-running behavior. And they basically make such a plan on a paper, and the patient is told just to follow this. And to support behavioral activation, Levinson back in 1972, he developed this pleasant event schedule, which is a list of 320 pleasurable activities, which the patient could pick from and do on a daily or weekly basis. And as behavioral activation is this kind of very straightforward method, which is only centered around activity, it carries a lot of potential to embed it actually in mobile application. And with a mobile application, we could eliminate some of those previously mentioned accessibility issues, and actually provide a quality of care which can be scaled indefinite. So the main goal for our study here was to develop such a behavioral activation app. But as a unique feature with this app was to include recommendations which could introduce novel activities that are personalized to the individual user, just like mimicking the role of the therapist when they suggest activities together. So our approach started with bi-weekly meetings with our interdisciplinary team of clinicians mostly, and us from the more engineering part, and HCI designers, and we set up workshops with patients. And in this presentation, I would like to emphasize one outcome from this kind of workshop, which involved actually the UX design of the recommender part, the system. So the patient raised 2 concerns. So first, they are aware, they're conscious about their clinical disorder, but they are not fond of tools, digital life tools that stigmatize their or somewhat display their special needs. And in this case, with an app that actually literally tells them what to do, it is unfortunately the case. Secondly, they expressed a strong concern of the types of feeling that could be induced if they were unable to commit or engage in whatever kind of recommendation that the app was giving them. And this could potentially have a harmful effect, of course. With this in mind, we developed the app. I show you here some simple screenshots from it. First, in the first screenshot, we see the main overview that the patient is seeing. which includes their planned activities divided in morning, afternoon, and evening. And with this plus sign, they can go in and actively pick a recommendation that is given to them. So when they press that, they can say, okay, give me any recommendation, and we list top 10. They could also just go in and browse this catalog that is the same as Levinson, but we have added more activities that are more in line with this more digital lifestyle we have now in the 2020s and back in the 72s, such as, for instance, writing a positive commentary to an internet article. So with this, with the app, we ran a feasibility study. It was an 8-week-long feasibility study with 17 patients diagnosed with an affective disorder. So as we recruited from both the clinic and from a national recruitment webpage, we got a really good heterogeneous, like a really good mixed group of people, both young and older adults, up to 56. Also from almost none to severe depressive symptoms at study onset. So for the next slides here, I will show you what kind of results we got from the interviews. First of all, as this was a like in the wild study, which is very uncontrolled, we were thrilled actually to hear experience from the patient that they had a positive influence on the fact of planning activities. I will, as this is our core behavioral activation value, you could say. So let me read one of the quotes here. It is more likely that you get activated if you have a planned activity. When you wake up and you have nothing to do, it can make you feel bad. But when you wake up and you already have a plan, it is really nice. So the fact that they had this kind of activities visually organized before them in the app was an incentive for them, or a nudge, as they explained, to initiate the activity. Another strong result of the app usage was the ability to provide inspirations, like MUBS' ability to provide inspiration. The fact of displaying concrete activities, precise activities in a catalog is very helpful. And let me read one of these quotes. I used to wake up and watch TV series. It helped me to go out, be more social. It planned it more. I learned to knit, and I want to learn to sew in the winter. I did not think about adding these kind of hobbies to my life before, but now I do. So as you can see a bit with this quote is that the problem is usually that, which is also explained in the interview, is when their decision making, basically their ideation is impaired when they are in these bad days. So they tend to go to more passive activities, such as reaching out for the remote control and turning on the TV when nothing is planned. But when engaged in pleasurable activities, they will initiate a positive loop because they become aware of the performed activity, telling themselves, yeah, hey, I actually did something. And that is also another result that I bring up here now, is the activity awareness when engaged in activities, which is a fundamental outcome of behavior activation. So what we learned from furthermore from the interviews of awareness is that they actually it was also triggered simply by browsing the list of pleasurable activity, our catalog. Let me read one quote here. Every morning, I take a shower, put on perfume, and put cream on my face, and that is never something I think about. I've learned to appreciate this. So in that sense, it had a really positive outcome for these patients. Last result I want to mention is the recommendation part. So when we observed how it was used and what kind of activities was used, we quickly saw that the feature was used very little. When we dig deeper in the interview to find out why, we understood that it was mostly like easy and less time-wise activities that were picked. It was something they wanted to do in the moment, like here and now. Usually they were sitting like in the couch or in the bed, and they took up their phone and they look at the recommendations. And this kind of scenario is unfortunately not effective for behavior activation. So for recommendations to be effective, they basically need to be designed as part of the planning phase. It should be something scheduled for them. It's precisely like the therapist recommends the patient to schedule specific activities for the upcoming week. So in conclusion, we learned that the personalized recommendation in its current design was not the important factor for the success of MUBS here. It was the inspiration of concrete, specific activities and the scheduling or planning of these activities. And overall for the patient, we observed that they learned to appreciate the smaller everyday activities. They became aware of the positive daily inputs that were otherwise overlooked during depressive days. They managed to plan more enjoyable activities and felt rewarded when they followed their plan. Thank you very much for listening.